It's interesting to me, given the situation of the country at that time, the country, a state rather, in the South, even if it is the upper South, was willing to have a Black American as a speaker.
I think it's really interesting that he spoke at St. John's just because we don't have any other program author that showed up and kind of got to expand more on the things we read about.
So that's sort of special. If you imagine Aristotle coming to speak or Rousseau coming to speak, that would be something quite exciting.
You know, it's not just through the book that we had access to the thought of the author, but that the author was here and present on campus.
How close we get to the authors of the past is one of the most important things about the pedagogical philosophy of this institution of St. John's College.
Well, this spring at St. John's College on both of our campuses, we're going to have an all-college seminar on the talk that W.E.B. Du Bois gave at St. John's College in Annapolis in April of 1952.
It was actually one of our students who made the first overture to Mr. Du Bois.
Martin Dyer.
Martin Dyer.
Martin Dyer.
Martin was an incredible student at St. John's, and he was a historical figure in our community. In 1948, Martin played a pivotal role in being the first Black student to attend St. John's College, and consequently making it the first college south of the Mason-Dixon line to voluntarily integrate.
So far as I know, it was the students who pushed to have the college open to African Americans.
Little did we know that when Martin came to St. John's that he would come bearing a number of gifts, including a close connection with his former teacher, who happened to be the daughter of W.E.B. Du Bois.
And he appealed to his 10th grade teacher to ask her famous father if he might be interested in speaking at St. John's, and he was.
Dr. Bois actually requested that officials at the college send the invitation out. Martin Dyer approached the president at that time, Dick Weigel, if he would send an invitation out to Dr. Du Bois to speak at St. John's campus, which he did in February.
Du Bois agreed to come, and he gave, I believe, an informal Sunday afternoon as opposed to the formal Friday evening lecture.
It was in the King William room, so this room actually where we're filming right now.
Du Bois's reception at the college was not without controversy.
There seems to have been no opportunity after the lecture for a question and answer format that would have allowed for the discussion to continue between the student body.
Afterwards, there was a gathering for questions and answers at a student's home.
In this household, Du Bois walked in, was invited as an honored guest, and the students then had their opportunity to ask him questions and hear his answers.
The way that the student body came together with Du Bois in this moment, I think, is so telling. To invite a Black Marxist activist to speak at a college in Maryland in 1952, I can't imagine that being an unequivocally welcome situation.
1952 isn't that long ago. He gives the speech 2 years before Brown versus Board, and subsequently, really, America changes dramatically.
I looked everywhere to find what that speech was and couldn't find it, and luckily, through the help of the wonderful staff at St. John's, we were able to find the speech.
This is an unknown piece of our history that needs to be known and celebrated.
I wonder what the speech means at this time in the country's history and the college's history.
Like unabashedness in the face of talking about something that you might not want to talk about is very important.
What racial problem are we asking Du Bois to come talk about?
I think the thing that struck me the most about the speech is the emphasis that Du Bois puts on the historical and economic aspect of the racial issue that he's addressing.
So Du Bois, I think, has a special role in the curriculum because he's not just talking about this as a political actor. He also reflects on what it's like to be a Black person.
What does it mean to be American? What does it mean to have America be built the way it has been built? What does that mean for the people who live in America and how they identify with it?
Very few programmatic authors explore those questions in the breadth, depth, and poetry that Du Bois does.
In Du Bois's own words, the key issue of the 20th century was the color line.
Color line.
Color line.
Color line.
If you're a white person, you are seeing the world in one way. And if you're a black person in America, you are seeing it in a very different way.
Which is seminal for Du Bois, particularly in Souls of Black Folk, where he explores what it means to have equality and to understand the Black condition in the United States.
He comes up with this idea of the double consciousness. Black Americans in this country have to have two identities because they're treated, they're American and on top of that, they're Black.
What struck me most about Dr. Du Bois's speech, I think, was his raising of the issue of intersectionality. He really kind of de-emphasized labeling social issues because he saw that despite the different kinds of social problems that the United States was dealing with, that they were very much intertwined.
He talks about the veil that lies between blacks and whites in the US, this constant source of darkness, misunderstanding.
A lot of things that Du Bois was talking about in 1952 are still on the table in 2022.
So I see a kind of courage, even if it's very small, given the scope of Du Bois' work in general, in deciding to confront that ambivalence that might have been felt about his presence.
So I think he was kind of this guy who was like, I know what's true. I'm not trying to be popular. I don't really care if you like me. I know what's true. And I'm hoping that one day my words will come back and mean something in society. His truth still lives.
So the stakes were very, very high to say, we are humans, you are humans, we can speak to one another. There's a place for common ground.
And so what a treat to know that Du Bois was the only author that came and spoke at St. John's and appears on the program.
We've had people like George Washington and the Marquis de Lafayette come visit St. John's. We had people like President Eisenhower and Eleanor Roosevelt visit St. John's. But Du Bois's visit, I think, stands out.
I hope that the seminar will be an opportunity to take seriously and to consider the work that still lies ahead of us.
It's a kind of wonderful circle and cycle for us to be discovering this, discovering it now, when our community is more attentive and focused, and to give us a chance to deepen our reflection on our own history as a college.
So it's important that we celebrate the Du Bois visit and speech. Who we honor and what we honor matters.
Across the color line, I move arm in arm with Balzac and Dumas, where smiling men and welcoming women glide in gilded halls. From out the caves of evening that swing between the strong-limbed earth and the tracery of the stars, I summon Aristotle and Aurelius, and what soul I will, and they come all, graciously, with no scorn nor condescension.